whoa, what are you doing? Car Wizard.
I'm just really getting tired of this thing not being right for Tyler.
Well, I've been wondering if you've been having an affair with this thing with as long as it's been in the shop.
Yes, that's part of the problem why I'm kicking it.
I can see. Maybe we should tell them why it's been here so long.
Okay, let's talk about this Bentley and why it's been here so long. Let's get started. This is a 1990 Bentley Turbo R. And you guys already know that because you've seen it 17,000 times sitting in the background. It's been here a lot, and it really has. There's a story behind it, why it's been here so long. There's also a story of things keep breaking on this thing over and over and over. We're going to talk about what we've done so far on it and why these things are the biggest money pits you can buy. Bigger than a Porsche, BMW. These things are the ultimate. Light your cash on fire, and every time something else goes wrong, you light more cash on fire and hope that it holds until the next time you light more cash on fire. It's just really crazy. So Tyler of Hoovies Garage bought this thing over 1.5 years ago. I'm not sure what he paid for it. I don't remember, but supposedly it had been fully serviced. He had a stack of service records, like a whole folder full of service records, going back years, thousands of dollars. And normally you would think, okay, this thing is in tip-top shape. It's got all these service records. But you have to be careful with that because you start flipping through and you see $5,000 here, $4,000 here, $6,000 here. Some things in the service records had been done twice in the period of 10 years. It had to be done again and again. That's almost something that you need to look at. Don't just flip through service records and go, oh yeah, it looks good. Pay attention to what's going on in the service records. Because those service records could give you a glimpse of your future with this car. Hoovie is aware when he buys these cars that some of them are hoopties and they're going to need work, constant work to get things back where they should be. But even he has been surprised by this car that it just keeps breaking. It just keeps breaking. I myself have always wanted a 1980s Silver Spur or a Turbo R. But I can honestly say, after having worked on this one for the past year, I don't want anything to do with owning one of them. It just seems like that they never stay fixed. Now, many people have mentioned in the comments on this, why don't you just fix it, Wizard, and quit whining? It's because you can only go as far as the owner of the car wants to go. And to properly make this car drive away and don't come back for a long time in a Rolls-Royce specialty shop would easily be $25,000, $30,000. And that's no joke. That's what it takes to go through one of these, go through all the brake calipers, the distribution valves, the brake pumps, the hoses, all the brake system and suspension system, and redo all of it. To pull the engine and go through all the seals, just really go through this whole car, be $25,000 or $30,000. Then it would be to the level where it can be driven for a while, but it's still going to need that $25,000 or $30,000 again in 5 or 10 years. That's just the way these cars are. And understandably, I would agree with Hoovie. I wouldn't want to spend $25,000 on this car and go through the whole thing. It's just not worth it. The car isn't worth that much. There's a reason for that. Because of what it costs to fix these things. Now, many people have said, Car Wizard, this thing's been sitting for 7 months. Why haven't you got it running? And the reason why is because I start working on it, and then Hoovie brings another project, which I'm glad for, I'm not complaining, like the Woody Wagon, the Beck Spider, and several other different things he brings in the shop, his Murcielago. And he specifically says, let's stop on the Bentley. Let it sit. I want you to fix my Murcielago. Okay, so we get it done, and he's been driving and having fun with it. And then we start working on the Bentley some more, and it's, let's get my Woody Wagon fixed right now. Not too concerned about the Bentley. And that happens 4, 5, 6 times, and this thing just sits and sits and sits. Now again, that's not a complaint, that's just an explanation. Why has it been sitting this long? We have gone through and fixed a lot of things on this car, and we're going to go through what we've done to it. And I'm sure that it's not done. It'll be more, and it'll just keep going. One of the first things we tackled on this car was the brake pumps. It's very common on these. The O-rings inside the shell or the body of the pump goes bad, and it just pours brake fluid or hydraulic fluid, I guess you could call it, down the V of the engine and on all over the ground. We got that fixed. There was also a few other hoses that needed to be fixed, and we got his brake leaks fixed. And then he took it out of here and drove it, and he realized under certain acceleration or certain conditions the engine would stumble really bad. And he was like, I don't want it running that way. So he brought it back. We went through the injectors. We went through, checked for vacuum leaks. We did ignition tune-up. This thing wouldn't sit there and idle and make these shaking and do all these problems. It would run at idle perfect. But only on the highway, when you try to accelerate about 1,500 to 2,000 under a load, it would start bucking and jerking, and it was very difficult to diagnose. It ended up being the fuel distributor on the Bosch Jetronic system. Let's take a look. This right here, this aluminum octagon shape, that is the fuel distributor. Underneath this black cover is a flap that moves with vacuum. As you give more gas, the flap opens more, which pushes a valve inside of here and gives more fuel. It's mechanical fuel injection. We sent this off to CIS Flowtech and got it rebuilt, and it totally solved the problem. We did replace all the injectors, and although that didn't solve the problem, it's really good to replace those anyway when you have all this apart. It doesn't make sense to put an expensively rebuilt fuel distributor with old injectors. It just doesn't make any sense to do that. If you're going to go through this system, you do it right and do the whole thing. So we got that fixed. It runs and drives perfect. Under all conditions, under all loads, no more bucking and jerking. It's smooth all the way through. And Hoovie was happy with that. We got that fixed. Then he's driving it, enjoying it, actually starting to enjoy the car. And then he was on the highway and it just died. It was like a light switch. Off. The engine's off. He could turn the key, nothing. So we had it towed here. And let's take a look inside the interior. I'll show you what we had to do in there. It smells really good inside of here, doesn't it, Miss Wizard?
It really does.
It smells like expensive leather. It also smells like expensive mechanic bills. Underneath the dash, there's a security alarm module. It's about this big. It's actually right underneath in the middle up there. And it is commonly known that when those go bad, your car won't start. And there's a small battery pack inside of there that needs to be replaced. I had to take the dash wood off, take the dash cap off, and get down to it and replace it. And it was bad. The small battery pack that's inside of it was stamped with a date, 1990. It was the original one, and it was dead. So I put a new battery in, put everything back together. It didn't solve anything. It needed to be done because it was obviously dead. His alarm system now works, but that didn't solve the no start problem. Let's go back out to the engine and take a look. One thing that's really beneficial to have in this business is connections with people who are specialists that only do this make of car, only do that make of car, or people who are rebuilders of only a certain module on a car. I've gotten to know really well a guy named also Dave in Boca Raton, Florida. He rebuilds all the dash units and modules and security modules and all those types of things for the Miami, Bentley, Rolls-Royce dealerships, some of the repair shops around there. And he contacted me and he said, you were doing right, Wizard, to see if the alarm module had a dead battery. That's very likely. But that didn't fix it. He said, why don't you go try and replace the alternator? Because the starting circuit runs through the alternator on these cars. And I was like, what? What kind of car can be made to not even turn over at all? Because of the diodes or whatever module is bad inside of the alternator. He also gave me another tidbit of advice. He said, order an alternator for a 93 Corvette. It's identical. All you have to swap over is the pulley and the fins. I was like, okay, that's what I'll do then. So I ordered one from CarQuest, a 93. This is a 93 Corvette alternator. And it is identical to the old one. Swapped over the pulley, the fin, cooling fins, put it back on, and it fired right up. And it ran perfect all over again. Before it left here, the alternator was charging perfectly. There was no AC ripple in the current. It was doing its job very, very well. I tested it and load tested it and did 3 or 4 different tests on it just to make sure everything was good to go before we left, and it passed with flying colors. So we got all those things fixed. We got his alarm system working again, which is nice. But then he's like, "Wizard, this thing, I knew it had a front main seal leak. We looked at that before, and it really wasn't that bad, but it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's leaving drips on my driveway. I'd like to go ahead and fix that." I was, okay. So we got the alternator things back off again because we're digging into this. And let's take a look at the front main seal and how horrible it is designed on this engine. So the reason why the engine, or the front of the engine, is all tore down as far as it is for one $10 seal. Maybe 15 bucks. It's not very expensive. But the thing that stinks about these, which I've not seen except for old 1930s and 1940s cars, which is kind of what this engine's modeled after, is that down here on the main pulley, we can see we have the pulley off and everything. That's where the front main seal resides. And on most cars, the seal is readily accessible externally. You can pull the main pulley off or harmonic balancer, get to the seal, replace the seal, and put everything back together. Not on this car. You have to take all the accessories off and pull the entire timing cover off, which means this motor mount has to come off. You have to support the engine. You have to get the turbo pipes out of the way, get the radiator and everything out of the way so you can get right down to it. Because the seal resides on the inside of the timing cover. You can only get to it to the back side of the timing cover. We finally did get the timing cover off. It's got a new seal on it. It's going back together now. And this was what was on the inside as far as a seal goes, just the metal shell. The seal wasn't even there anymore. We looked down in the oil pan, looked around since we had the timing cover off, and it wasn't in there. I don't know where it went, but maybe through various oil changes it disintegrated and it's gone by now. Just kind of turned into powder. But that's all there was in there, was a metal shell. No wonder it wasn't sealing. There was no seal there. We got the right seal installed. We're going back together. And guess what? We found more things wrong. Things that we haven't even worked on or looked at yet. So I'm having Junior Man, you guys have seen him in the shop a few times. He's actually a pretty good mechanic. I'm really pleased with his work. But he's got this stuff apart, he's doing great work, and he's humming along and taking the bolts loose, and he looks over and he goes, "Car Wizard, that front right caliper on the brakes is dripping green fluid out of it." I was like, "What?" So I walked over there, and where the caliper halves come together, it's just dripping fluid out. It's like, okay, I'm glad we found that. We don't want to send it out the door that way. It's very difficult to send this car out the door and say everything's fixed, because every single item on this car, it seems, is on the verge of failure. It's only a matter of time. Now this fails. Okay, now this one has failed. And what's really baffling to me and Hoovie is that it has a stack of service records. Why does things keep failing and dropping out like this? It's dropping like flies. This is broke, that's broke. And it's really disgusting. It really is to me and him. It's just like, can't this thing just be fixed? And like I said, it's kind of difficult to just say, well, we just need to go through this whole car front to back. And that's just not plausible. It's not something to do because it would be so expensive.
That's really a shame because this is such a beautiful car.
It really is. It's a nice car. It could be a nice car. I wish it would just be fixed, stay fixed, and Hoovie could enjoy the car. I really want that for him.
The interior, you guys, the interior on this is just beautiful.
It is.
The lines on it, the color. Yeah, it's only the problem between you and me that's, giving you headaches.
Unfortunately, that's the story with any of these old Rolls or Bentleys of the 80s, is every couple of years you just have to go through and inspect and replace anything that's even the slightest bit out of kilter. It's just expensive, expensive, expensive. When they're right, they're amazing cars. They ride so nice, very high quality craftsmanship. But this kind of a car, a Turbo R or a Silver Spur, is not for someone who's budget minded or can't be bothered with things going wrong. I know a guy, he's an attorney in Wichita, he's owned lots of these. He has several different models of these, and he said they're always all broken. They're always getting stuff fixed all the time. And it's like, okay, that's kind of a breather, because I felt bad for Hoovie on this, but apparently that's just the name of the game with these.
And luckily, Hoovie's kind of used to having cars in the shop.
Yeah. We will get there. We will get this thing finally fixed up for him, and he'll have more service records to add to the giant stack that he already had. So that way we'll know we've got all these things taken care of, and it's finally a good running car. So the scenario here is kind of like, imagine you go to the doctor and you have a broken wrist. And you say to the doctor, okay, I want you to fix my wrist, but I want you to guarantee over the next 10 years that nothing will happen to my body, inside and out. Guaranteed, written statement. No doctor is going to give you that. Because the doctor's going to say, okay, well then we need to do exploratory surgery. We need to go ahead and do an open heart situation. We need to explore and see what's going on. No one's going to pay for that. No one's going to want to do that. And that's the same situation here. In order to guarantee everything is going to be right, I would have to pull it all apart and go through and check everything. Hoovie's not going to pay for that. I don't think anyone would pay for that. No one's going to want that. It's just you have to fix what's broken and try it out, and hopefully that's it. You can inspect and visually check things, and things that aren't currently leaking probably will be on this car. So I look forward to the day when Hoovie can drive this and enjoy it, and the thing doesn't keep breaking all the time. It has been very aggravating for me and him. Luckily, he's very understanding, he's very patient, and he knows the best thing to do is just keep going, get this thing right, so he can finally enjoy it. There was a period of time before these things went bad that he was truly enjoying it. It was doing very well for him. We finally got a lot of things handled and solved. So if you're in the market for one of these cars, please watch this video or pass it along to a friend, because it is not going to be a car that you're going to drive without maintaining it. You will always, always be working on it. So if you're curious what kind of tools I use to work on this Bentley, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. I've got all my tools listed for sale there. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button already, I really recommend you do that now. We've got the Malibu, we've got more boat videos, we've got lots of really cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.